Welcome to another Read Aloud book tour. Today we will feature The Black Pearl, written by Newbery Award-winning author Scott Odell, also the author of the famous book Island of the Blue Dolphins. Page 1. Everyone who lives in our town of La Paz, or along the far coasts or among the high mountains of Baja California, has heard of the Monte Diablo. There are many who live in the great world outside who have heard of him also, I am told. But of these thousands, only 2 have really seen him. And of the 2, only 1 is alive. I, Ramon Salazar. There are many people in the town of La Paz and in Baja California who say they have seen the Monte Diablo. Old men around the fires at night tell their grandsons of the meetings they have had with him. Mothers seek to frighten bad children by threatening to call from the deeps of the sea this fearsome giant. I am now 16, but when I was younger and did things I should not have, my own mother said to me solemnly, "Ramon, if you do this thing again, I shall speak a word to the Monte Diablo." She told me that he was larger than the largest ship in the harbor of La Paz. His eyes were the color of ambergris and shaped like a sickle moon, and there were 7 of them. He had 7 rows of teeth in his mouth, each tooth as long as my father's Toledo knife. With these teeth, he would snap my bones like sticks. Page 1 discussion. I remember reading this book when I was in middle school. It only has about 100 pages or so. But I remember thinking, oh, this is something close to where I live. So reading that it's set in Baja California and being raised in Southern California, that same feeling came back of, oh, this isn't far from where I was raised. We have Ramon Salazar, so we know that he's probably a Spanish-speaking boy, that he has this mysterious Monte Diablo. They've said it a bunch of times already on page 1. So I'm a little bit interested to see, like, where are we going with this Monte Diablo? Are we going to hear more stories about it? Page 1's got me interested enough to continue on to the next page. Mothers of my friends also threatened them with the Monte Diablo. He was a somewhat different monster from the one my mother knew, for he had more teeth or less, or eyes shaped in a different way, or a single eye instead of 7. My grandfather was the most learned man in our town. He could read and use a pen and recite long poems right out of his memory. He had seen the Monte Diablo several times at night and in the daytime, so he said, and his descriptions were nearer the truth as I know it. Yet I say to you that of all the old men and the mothers and even my grandfather, not one has been able to give a true picture of the Monte Diablo. It is possible that if Father Linares were living today, he could tell us the truth, for it was he who first saw him more than 100 years ago. That was the time when the Monte Diablo was a thing with claws and a forked tongue. It roamed our land back and forth, and where it went the crops would wither and die, and the air was foul. It was then that Father Linares commanded it in the name of God to disappear into the sea and remain there, which it obediently did. I do not know whether Father Linares saw it again or not, but I do know that while it lived there in the sea, it lost the claws and forked tongue and the evil smell. It became the most beautiful creature I have ever seen. Yes, beautiful. And still it was the same evil thing that Father Linares banished from our land many years ago. This is strange. It is strange also that long ago I did not believe in the Monte Diablo. When my mother would threaten me, I would quietly laugh to myself. Maybe I did not laugh, but surely I smiled, for how could such a monster creature be alive in the world? And if it were alive, how could my mother know it so well that she could speak a word and summon it to her side? My blood felt cold nonetheless, and my scalp tingled when she spoke, because I liked to feel this way. I wanted to believe that the Monte Diablo was really alive somewhere, and that he would come when she called. Then I could see him and count his eyes and teeth, while my mother explained at the very last moment that I had promised to be good, so she did not want him to snap my bones after all. That was long ago. Now that I have seen the Monte Diablo and struggled with him during the whole of one night and part of a day, in the waters of our Vermilion Sea, along the Gaspar Ruiz, the Sevillano, I wonder that I ever doubted. But before I speak about that time and the three of us there on the quiet sea in a struggle of death, before I tell what I know about the Monte Diablo, I must also tell about the Pearl of Heaven. Pages 2 and 3 discussion. The author continues to write about how the mothers of the town use the Monte Diablo, kind of like the boogeyman or another kind of monster that might come out of the closet to get you if you don't behave. So all the women use this Monte Diablo to keep their kids in line, but the narrator tells us that different moms have a different view of this creature. So he's kind of starting to be a little skeptical. His grandfather knows the most, so we can tell from pages 2 and 3 that our narrator has seen the Monte Diablo. And so he's going to tell us the story. He says in the last paragraph at the end of chapter 1, he says, like, before I can tell you about the Monte Diablo, I have to tell you about the Pearl of Heaven. And that's all capitalized, so that must be something special. So this way of introducing the story, it's kind of like showing us a preview to a movie and then saying, hold on, I got to go back and show you the rest of what really happened. So it's a unique way of writing the first chapter. It's definitely engaging for me as I want to see what happens with the Pearl of Heaven, the Monte Diablo, Ramon Salazar, and whoever else was involved in this tale.